Okay, we're gonna do the Gartside Soft-Hackle streamer, or what we're calling the new age, the variant. And we'll jump right in. I'm gonna talk about some ways to make working with marabou a little bit easier. But to start, we're gonna start our thread just behind the eye. And we're gonna go down, maybe I'm gonna call it halfway down the shank here. We want to leave enough room, because remember, this fly we're not going to tie all the way back here on the shank. It's all up front. So I'm going to move my thread forward, and I'm going to capture my eyes with a couple wraps. I'm going to slide them underneath, so you can see that's underneath. And now I'm going to do some X wraps to straighten these eyes, and I'm going to push them back a little bit. They're a little far forward. Do some X wraps. Now, some of you were having issues tying these on at this point, and now you'll see I'm going to go over the eye, under the hook, over the eye, under the hook. I'm going to do that, and what that does is that tightens up those X wraps and just hopefully keeps those eyes from going anywhere. You can put super glue on there. I tend not to. It's just an extra step. But once you get your eyes on, we're going to take our ripple ice fiber in copper. And again, we're going to make sure that these tips are not equal. We want them all kind of all over the, different lengths so that they all blend together. I'm going to pinch those right on top of the hook, capture that with a few wraps, fold the ends back. I'm going to tie over them, and that's just going to give us some added durability. They're not going to pull out. They're not going to go anywhere. Now, I've already prepped my marabou feather. You can see I'm just using the tip where the stem is thin and will bend so I can wrap it. And I'm going to grab it by the tip, separate these fibers, and I'm just going to capture with 2 wraps, pull back a little bit so I have some room to start. I'm going to wrap that forward. I'm then going to take these and fold them backwards. And again, that's just so that this feather does not pull out while I am wrapping. I'm going to end with my thread right behind the eyes. And now I'm going to take these fibers, and this is where I saw people having issues. You can just start wrapping this, and it gets kind of crazy. Or you can take your time and pull these fibers back every time so that you can see what's happening, hopefully. Marabou is not an easy material to work with. It goes everywhere. So again, I'm just gonna make these fibers do what I want them to. I'm gonna move them. They do not want to cooperate. So I'm gonna make them cooperate. And it's gonna look kind of crazy. But remember, we are gonna wrap back over all of this. Again, for added durability. So I'm just gonna wrap up until that stem starts getting thicker. And you can see I'm always playing with these fibers to hopefully not trap any. So I'm right at the end of my fibers on the stem, so I'm gonna capture it with 2 wraps over the stem, and then 2 wraps in front of the stem. And that should be good enough that I can cut this stem off and not lose anything. Now I'm going to pull all these fibers back, and I'm going to wrap backwards a little bit over top, just to wrap over that stem and give me, again, some added durability. And it also gives me a base for the next bunch of flash we're going to put on there. Now again, I say bunch, but we are using sparing amounts of flash. For the tail, I had 4 fibers. For up here, I've got 6. And unlike the tail, we don't want these all on top. We want them kind of spread around. And the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to lay these 6, excuse me, pretty much right on top. And I'm going to capture those with 2 wraps. And I'm going to spread them out with my thumbnail so that they go halfway, pretty much halfway around the hook. Now, I'm going to take the butt ends and I'm going to fold those back. I'm going to reach up under, grab those, and tie them in underneath so that I now have flash all the way around my fly. And then if you have a rotary vise, or you can just turn your vise. Just like on top, we want to make sure that it's all distributed even, which it is now. So once we get our second layer of flash, we're going to take our brown marabou. Again, I've already prepped this to where the stem pretty much stops bending. I've got a little bit. I'm actually going to take some of these off. We're going to do the same thing we did with the yellow. I'm going to grab it by the tip. I'm going to separate that tip. Pull these out of the way. And now this, I saw some people get confused Monday. I'm going to tie this in the exact same way as the yellow, with some good wraps. And again, I'm going to take the tip of this, I'm going to fold it over itself, and I'm going to tie over it so again it's not going to pull out on me. And then I'm going to move my thread up to the eye of the hook, put a little base there. Now you're going to do as many wraps as you have feather until you get to about 2 wraps left, so maybe a 1/4 inch, and then we're going to move in front of the eye. So all of these initial wraps are going to be behind the bead chain eyes. So bear with me. I'm going to try to move these fibers out of the way so you can see the placement here, and I'm just slowly working forward. And let's see here. Again, take your time. Don't rush it. You don't want to capture a bunch of fibers. So I've got about 2 wraps left, and what I'm going to do is once I'm here, I'm going to cross to the front of the eyes. And this is where everything starts getting wild again. But I'm going to finish this brown marabou in front of the eye here. Got one more wrap to do. I'm going to call it right there. I'm going to come over the stem to capture it, so it's not going to go anywhere. Twice. Pull some tension. I can now let go. I'm going to pull everything back out of the way. Wrap 2-3 times in front of that. Come in with my scissors. Snip that stem. And I'm just going to pull all these fibers back out of the way. And again, I don't think I showed you guys this, but marabou, if you wet your fingers and then wet the marabou, it will cooperate a little bit better. And just like the yellow, I'm going to wrap back over a little bit of that stem just for some added durability. Because these stems, the tips on these feathers are not very strong. So wrapping over it just adds a little bit of durability. At this point, the fly is done, and all we need to do is do a 5-turn whip finish. Caught a fiber there. And we're just gonna do our whip finish and cut our thread. And that's a New Age Gartside Soft-Hackle. Pretty easy tie, all things considered. Working with marabou again is not the easiest, but this technique transfers to many different feathers of wrapping like that and manipulating the fibers out of your way so that it actually, works. If you do trap fibers down, you can take your bodkin and come in and you'll feel it. You'll feel some resistance when you drag your needle through there, and you can untrap those fibers. But yeah, that's the New Age Gartside Soft-Hackle.